friends, welcome back. This is for Saxon 76, lesson 4. This is the 4th edition. Missing numbers in multiplication and division. So if you saw the last video, we learned about missing numbers in addition, subtraction. Now we're going to do multiplication, division, because the opposite of multiply, divide. The opposite of divide, multiply. Okay, so let's take a look at this first one. Example number 1 says this. Now remember, in 2 lessons ago, our fact families, on multiplication we can flip the top 2. On division we can flip the bottom 2. So if I flip these two, I end up with 6 times a, and that's the commutative property of multiplication, 72. That doesn't really help me. I can't do anything with that. But I've multiplied in this direction, so now I'm going to divide in that direction. 72, that helped if I write the right number. 72 divided by 6 gives me a, or, and because it's division, I can flop these last two. 72 divided by a is 6. Now, the only one that I can do is this guy right here. All these other ones are not really helpful, but this one, 72 divided by 6, let's go ahead and do that. 6, 72. 6 goes into 7 one time without going over. Subtract and bring down. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 6 gives me 12, so I have no remainders. So my answer is A equals 12. So just like addition, subtraction, remember, if you multiply in one way, you can divide the opposite way. All right, so this one is also a multiplication problem. You'll find now that you're getting up in math, it's silly to write this x as a multiplication because you're going to start using variables, which we've been doing, and it's easy to mix that up with an x as a variable as opposed to multiplication. So you'll see some things like this. If you see two numbers pushed together, or I'm sorry, if you see two items pushed together, one is a number, one is a variable, then it means multiplication. Okay, so looking at this guy, we're multiplying in that direction. Well, remember, commutative property of multiplication means we can flop it. So W times 6 equals 84. And because we're multiplying in this direction, we can divide in that direction. 84 divided by W equals 6. Multiply in this direction, let's do the opposite. 84 divided by 6 equals W. This is the fact family that we need in order to solve this. All right, so this comes in the front, so we're going to put that under the table. 6 goes into 8 one time. 6, 7, 8, 2. Bring down our 4. When we subtract, we bring down. 6 goes into 4. 26 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24, so we have no remainders there, so our answer is 14. Okay, this is a division problem, and division can be written multiple ways. This is the same thing as this. Equals 15. Now remember, with division we can flop the last two. So k divided by 15 equals 6. Now because of those, we divide in this direction, multiply in this one. So we get 15 times 6 equals k, or 6 times 15 equals k. So we can use either one of these in order to do it. Let's do 15 times 6. 15 times 6 here. 5 times 6 is 30, so we do 0 and carry our 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 gives us 9. So 90 is our answer. Okay, in the previous lesson I showed you, if you are subtracting and the variable is in the middle, you do the same operation that is shown. Otherwise, you just do the opposite operation, meaning this is the operation shown here was division, and we ended up multiplying. The operation shown here was multiplication, and we ended up dividing. The operation shown here was multiplication, we ended up dividing. So you do the opposite unless it is either subtraction or division, and the variable is in the middle. What you're going to find, we're going to end up doing the same operation. But let's go through our fact families. Remember, division, you can flop the last two. 26 divided by 7 equals m. That's the one I need. But let's just do our multiplication problems too. Or our multiplication facts. So we're dividing in this direction, multiplying the other. 7m, 7 times m, equals 126. Mathematicians are lazy. We don't want to have to write anything that we don't need to. So that's why we just do 7m instead of 7 times m. And then if we divide in this direction, we're going to multiply in that direction. So I get m times 7 equals 126. And you can see again with multiplication, just like addition, you can flop the first two around. These two don't help me. It's a good idea to practice writing your fact families, but they don't help. This is the one I need. So 126 divided by 7 is m. So 7 goes on the outside, 126 goes on the inside. 7 can't go into 1, but it can go into 12 one time. Let's subtract. From 7 to 10 is 3. From 10 until 12 is 2, so that's a total of 5. So 5, bring down our 6. 7 times 8 will give me 56. 8 times 7, 56. I have no remainders, so my answer here is 18. So again, always do the opposite unless it's a division problem with the variable in the middle. Division or subtraction, because we talked about that in the last one. All right, but these are the practice problems. Go ahead and pause. Let me get these all on the screen here. Pause those, do those, come on back, and we'll talk about them. All right, let's talk about these guys. Our fact families for this one. Remember, you can flop your multiplication. So 7 times A is 91. That doesn't help me, but we can do division in the other direction. 91 divided by 7 is A, or 91 divided by A is 7, because if I multiplied in this direction, I'm dividing in that direction. It looks like this is the one I'm going to be able to do. 91 divided by 7. Let's go ahead and do that. 7 goes into 9 one time without going over. 9 minus 7 is 2. Bring down the 1. 7 goes into 21 3 times, so my answer is 13. You'll notice we started with multiplication, we did division. Multiplication, we're going to end up dividing, but let's go through our whole fact families. B times 20 is 440. That's because we can flop the first two. Now, we divide or we multiply in this direction, so we're going to divide in the others. So we're going to get 440 divided by B is 20. That's this direction. And remember, with division, just like with subtraction, you can flop the last two. 440 divided by 20 is B. That's the moneymaker right there. That's the one we're going to need. Now, 440, again, I mentioned this on, I think, 2 lessons ago, that you need to know how to you need to know how to write your division problems in multiple ways. Let's talk about that, because this is really helpful. This can be written like this: 440 divided by 20, which just is a fraction. That's all fractions are, is division. But why I wrote it like this, because you can do, I'm lazy. I'm going to show you the easiest way to do things, because I don't want to have to work harder than I need to. So when you have it like this, if you have zeros on the end, you can lob those off. You can lob those zeros off. So instead of 20 going into 440, we have 2 going into 44. So 2 goes into 44. That only works with zeros, by the way. Don't come for me in the comments when you try it with 5s, because it doesn't work that way. 2 goes into 4 2 times. That gives me 4. 0, bring down, 4. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 4, 0. We are good. Our answer is 22. So if you take 20 and you multiply it by 22, you're going to get 440. Again, we started with multiplication and we ended up dividing. Okay. All right. This is a division one. This is kind of annoying the way it's written. Remember, if it's under the table, it goes on top of the table, like that, right? Equals 15. Now, I said that if it's subtraction or division with the variable in the middle. And what I mean by that is this guy can be written like this. So this is a division problem, but the variable's not in the middle. So we're going to be doing the opposite. The opposite of divide, multiply. So I've written it the 3 different ways here. Let's start with that last one. C divided by 7 equals 15. Then we can flop it the other way. C divided by 15 equals 7. And then we can write our multiplication problems. 15, for this one, we divide this way, multiply this way, we get 15 times 7 equals C. Or we get 7 times 15 equals C. So we can use either of those last 2 ones. I'm going to do the 15 times 7 because you always want to put the one that has greater number of digits on top. So 15 times 7, 5 times 7 is 35. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 more is 7, 8, 9, 10. So again, we started with division, we ended up multiplying. All right, this one is written as, this is under the table, so let's put it on top of the table. Divided by D equals 8. Aha! This is one where, let's write it the other way. Do you see how it is a division problem and the variable's in the middle? That means we need to do the same thing. So we're not going to be multiplying this time, we're going to be dividing. And that's because we can flop these last 2 around. 144, sorry, it's going to be kind of small there, divided by 8 equals D. So let's do some math here. 144 divided by 8 equals D. 8 goes into 14 one time. From 8 to 10 is 2. From 10 to 14 is 4. So that's a total of 6. And when we subtract, we bring down. 8 goes into 64 8 times. It's a perfect square. 8 times 8. 8 times 8 is 64. We have nothing left, so our answer is 18. So this was one where we started as division and we ended as division because it was division and it was in the middle. This is multiplication. The opposite of multiply is divide. So let's just go ahead and divide those guys. 7 goes into 84. 1. Let's go, or 7 goes into 8, I should say. Subtract and bring down. 7 goes into 14 2 times. 2 times, and then we have no remainders with that guy. So 12. Let's go back and make sure it makes sense. 7 times 12, and you'll see it written like with an X or with a dot or like this. Those all mean multiply. 7 times 12 is 84. That makes sense? Absolutely. All right, this is a multiplication problem, so we're going to do the opposite. 8, 1, 12. 8 can't go into 1, but it can go into 11 one time. 11 minus 8, that's going to be 3. Bring down our 2. So then we've got 4 times 8. Well, 8 will give me 32, and with no remainders, so my answer is 14. I didn't leave myself a whole lot of room on this. You should be leaving more room. I'm sorry. But I crammed it all in on one so you can see all the problems. Okay, so this guy right here is, remember, written like this. 36 divided by x equals 30. Aha, variables in the middle, and it's a division problem. This means we're going to be doing the same thing. So let's just flop these guys around. 360 divided by 30 equals x. And here is a fun thing. Let's turn that back into a fraction. This is in the front, so we're going to put it on top of the table. If you do this, you can lob off those zeros. So now what we have is 3 going into 36. And if you don't know your 12s, that's what this guy is. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So our answer here is 12. So you'll see it started as a division problem, and we did a division. All right, this is a division problem, but the variable is not in the middle, so we're going to do the opposite. We're going to take 60, and we're going to multiply it by 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30, so it's 30 with an extra 0 there. And that is your answer. All right, if you guys had any questions, let me know. Otherwise, great work, and we'll see you next time.